just I don't know. It's been a quick turnaround from last night to get ready for today's practice, and really trying to worry about ourselves and what we can do to clean up, for our game on Wednesday, but also being prepared to play on Wednesday. And, that's a challenge, I think, for everybody, is you want to continue to get better and you want to continue to grow, while you also prepare to win. And, that's our biggest challenge. Like, you have to learn to have a short memory. Like, you need to have a long memory to remember, like, what you did wrong, how we correct it. But you need to have a short memory in terms of we have to turn right around and get our confidence back and come back and, remember the things we did well and then do those things for a longer stretch and a longer period of time. So we're back to work. Back in the film room, learning through film, and then back on the court, learning through practice and getting more reps. And we have a good team coming in here on Wednesday. Like, people are going to just look at the name, just automatically assume, like, man, this should be a 20-point win. You're not following college basketball then. You don't know that Wagner was an NCAA tournament team, and they got a whole bunch of those dudes back. And they play. I told our guys last night, like, you think you're playing hard. Like, you're going to see what playing hard looks like on Wednesdays, because these dudes play harder than anybody I've ever seen. So it's going to be a major, major test of a team that was picked to win their league and picked to go back to the NCAA tournament. So it's a big-time test, and we're not ready for it. Like, we're going to be sitting here feeling sorry for ourselves again on Thursday.
Hello, how are you?
I'm great.
Good. Hey, how do you prevent, feeling them getting down on themselves at this point? Do you have a sense for maybe the fortitude of this group?
Yeah, that's I think every group, you go through kind of the ebbs and flows of a season, and I talked about it a little bit last night. You can be okay with the results when you put everything you got into it. And, we did from a physical standpoint. I thought there were still things I thought, still not playing hard enough for a longer stretch of time. But the way we prepared, before I came down here, I went to Mike Fairley's office and just talked to him, because he had the scout. And I was like, there was nothing that they did that surprised us. Like, in terms of how they scored, like the stuff we went over, how we prepared, nothing. We were ready. Like, we were prepared to guard them, and I felt like we did. Then it comes down to individual defense at times. Then it comes down to rebounding, and then sometimes it's just make or miss, and they made. So I feel good about how we prepared as a team to defend them. Like, now we need to clean up a few areas here and there, but like, if we're going to lay it all out on the line, I'll be okay with that. And I think our guys should be okay with that. Like, nobody likes losing. Like, I hate losing. Like, I'm the worst person in the world to be around when we lose. But, like, I'm okay with the process of getting better. And if we're doing everything possible, then, you can be okay with the results when you do that.
Micah, I don't know if you saw, but Ohio State and LSU are both ranked in the top 25 now. How do you feel knowing your team took both of those teams to the wire, and how do you get over the hump to take down some of those higher-ranked teams?
I think if our guys look at that and they recognize the effort that it took to be in both of those games, that's something that we know that we have to play a certain way to win. We have a small margin for error, right? We don't have to play perfect, but we have to play really well to beat teams like that. And but we're giving ourselves an opportunity. It's not going to be the last two ranked teams we play. There's going to be a bunch more. I didn't look. I was asking Nick as we were walking down here. But I'm probably pretty sure Michigan State's ranked too, right? Play them coming up here. Pretty soon after Christmas. Indiana, they're probably not ranked, but they're close. Purdue's probably number one in the country, right? We got plenty of opportunities. Wisconsin, like I can go down the list. I didn't look at it. I'm just going off the top of my head of, figuring out college basketball. But we're going to have opportunities to play people. But now we have to learn from what we did in those other games. But we have to learn from playing Wagner. We got to learn from playing Cornell. Like, it doesn't matter who we play. You have to play a certain way. And I always talk about the standard of how we need to play. And if you play to that standard, you'll have a chance to beat those teams.
Micah, I think we talked about it a little bit last night with John's foul trouble. Just generally, I'm curious what you thought of the offense when he wasn't in the game, when he was on the bench there.
Yeah, we were he does so much for us on both ends. Right? That's where you start to tinker with different things about how we play and what we do. We might have to change a little bit when John goes out in terms of what's best for our team at that point in time, because of the decision making that he does with the ball in his hand. So those are all things where we'll keep getting better, and I have to be better as well in terms of allowing us to try and get more ball movement early in games. All right, there's opportunities for us to try and attack certain people on the other team, but if we don't start with ball movement, we never get to ball movement. Right? We need to start that way, and that was on me for going to some stuff too early and got us out of our flow, got us out of our rhythm, and it kind of stagnated us a little bit. So those are all learning experiences with our team and what we need to do to get better.
I think there were a few key stretches last night down the line where Sam wasn't on the floor. Is that a testament to guys like Jalen and Andheem growing, or was there something else going on there?
No, it's just, tell them, our guys all the time, I'm going to play the guys that are doing what we're supposed to do at all times, offensively, defensively, and everything else. So that group had been in earlier in the game, and we had gone on a run. We weren't necessarily scoring during those stretches, but we were really guarding, and the ball was moving. So we weren't having success, but we were playing the right way. We were playing, we had good minutes in those stretches in the middle of the second half. So I decided to just go back to that group late and try and win the game with them. That's all it was. Sometimes it's your night. Sometimes it's not your night. And when it's not your night, celebrate your teammates if they're playing well. And if you do that, you're ready to go back in when that, when your number gets called. I'm not saying like Sam was or wasn't during that time, but it was just, that was his night, or it wasn't his night. I was trying somebody else, and another group was having more success. It could flip on Wednesday, the way Wagner plays. Sam could have a 30-point game again. I'll let those guys decide how we kind of handle things.
I'm going to take you back a few years here. When you started coaching at the D3 level, it was sort of the pinnacle of the Grinnell system, and the craziness of that is sort of like the epitome of I'm the head coach and I can do what I want now. How do you evolve your philosophy of basketball now that you ostensibly don't answer to anybody? How do you kind of figure out what your vision of the right way to play is now that you have full control?
Yeah, it's a great question. Kind of over time, you take a little bit from each person you work for, but you also take a little bit of stuff that you see. But then not everything fits, right? I can't be like, man, that is an awesome way to play I have no idea how to teach it or no idea how to implement it, or our guys don't fit it, then it doesn't matter. Like, you could be the best coach in the world, and if what you want to do doesn't fit your team, you need to do what fits your team. So that's how you have to evolve. I think being in the NBA helps you. It's helped me understand that you have to evolve quickly, and you have to find what works and then stick with that. And, that's still a process for us and our team. Like, there might be things that I think, would be good for our team, but over time they're showing me it may not be, right? So I need to make a change. I need to make an adjustment. It's hard to do that when you're playing so many games, right, back to back to back in a week, in a couple week span. But when we have some time, we'll tweak some things and get it to the right fit for this group, and hopefully we start clicking after that.
How hard is it when you play a lot of games in a row? I know I've heard coaches at different levels say we don't have enough time to practice. You're playing so many games, you might have a change you want to do, but pragmatically you can't just do it overnight because you're not practicing, or X, Y, or Z. I mean, how hard is it to implement change over the course of a season when maybe you don't have a ton of time to actually do it?
Yeah, no, it's hard. I mean, you think about, you take this week, for instance, like we just played a hard game last night on Sunday, but yet we play again on Wednesday. But, John lays his body on the line every single night. Like, Jalen Pickett played 40 minutes last night. Like, I can't come in here and, like, expect those guys for us to practice for 3 hours or 2 hours, or, like, we have to shorten what we do today because physically they need to be ready to go on Wednesday. Sorry. So that takes, you're a day after a game, and then tomorrow's a day before a game. So how much time we spend on the court is really shortened. And then we flip it around. We have to do the same exact thing for Michigan State. So, like, your practice time gets shortened. Like, we need these breaks. It was funny. I was talking to Coach Holtman yesterday in the hallway after media before I came in here, and we were just talking about upcoming opponents and what's next. And, like, both of us were, like, kind of mad that we scheduled games on Wednesday just because you want this time to rest. Like, you need this time to rest, like, before you have to play, like, another tough Big Ten game. Like, they play Wisconsin on Saturday. It's going to be a hard-fought Big Ten game. Like, we play Michigan State on Saturday. It's going to be a hard-fought, physical Big Ten game. But so is Wednesday, right? And so we need to get to game day. We need to be fresh for game day. And that's where you see, like, how your time to tinker and change things, it gets cut out a little bit.
Micah, you mentioned Jalen playing 40 minutes. I think he's averaging more than 36 minutes a game. I mean, how sustainable do you see that and moving forward? I know that you don't go too deep with your rotation, but how do you kind of balance, I guess, Jalen, this early in the year with what's coming up later?
Yeah, it's... you go on based on how he feels. Like, that's the one thing. We have a great training staff. Our strength and conditioning staff, like, they do a great job of, really getting him ready, getting him through. Like, and he's doing a good job of himself. I talk all the time about the mentality of being a pro. Like, everybody in college wants to be a professional player. What they don't see those guys do is how they take care of their bodies and what they do. So after games, after practice, the new stuff that, we were lucky to have with the new training room and the weight room and that stuff being right there next to our locker room, all that stuff is helping those guys get ready each day. But you have to take advantage of it, right? You can't just have a great training room and a great training staff and a great weight room and a great weight staff, and you just walk by the glass and, like osmosis or something. It's not a video game where you can just walk over top of something and it, like, gives you new life. Like, you have to actually go in there and do some stuff. So he does a good job of that, of taking care of himself. John does a good job of that, of taking care of himself. And I think that's how, you watch older guys like, I was lucky to be around Al Horford. Al Horford's a pro, but he takes care of his body. That's his number one thing. Like your best ability is availability. If you're not available, you're not very good. So, if those guys continue to do what they're supposed to do, I'll help manage them in practice and throughout the year so they're rested up and ready to give us their all on game night.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys. See you.